indie housing market. Get the latest insights right here.
Welcome back to Indie Housing Market. I'm Kyle Morris with Morris Property Group and FC Tucker.
Hi, I'm Shelly Walters with the Shelly Walters Realtor Group and FC Tucker. And today we have two awesome guests with us today from Mainstay. Go ahead and introduce us and tell us a little bit about you guys. We want to tell you all about Wholesale.
Sure. So I'm Luke Swift. I'm the VP of Dispositions. And yeah, we're
Of dispositions?
Dispositions, yes. So what that means
Come
is...
work on my wife's disposition.
We're going to be talking about vocabulary. We're going to have vocabulary 101 the whole show, I have a feeling. So first word, disposition.
Disposition. So I am responsible...
Because my head goes elsewhere. I'm like, I got some people with attitudes I need to come take care of.
I'm the one that's responsible for connecting the properties with the correct buyer. So
okay,
again,
that makes sense.
Just a middleman. We're a sales and marketing company. We spend a buttload of money on marketing every single month. We find clients that would work in their certain situation to work with us, and then I essentially just find the right person to buy that property.
Nice.
I'm Jeremy North. I'm the transactions manager for Mainstay Property Group. I'm kind of the professional handholder of the group and therapist.
We need those.
Kind of just do all the paperwork and make sure that the deals that Luke is trying to move actually do get closed on.
So you handle the stress and emotions of the transaction.
Yeah, try to make sure that everyone is okay and that we get to the closing table with as little stress as possible.
Yeah. So I'm glad we were having you on here. Well, first of all, we had a couple of weeks off, right? So, and I think it's neat to come back with you guys because I just think there's a major misconception of what your role is in the industry, right? And so even like beforehand, we were talking about it, and like I have certain opinions, right? And
no,
I got opinions coming out the ass. Anyway, so but like I just think like best way to put this. Due to lack of education, you all get lumped together. That's the best way for me to put it. And there's bad actors, there's good actors. What service you provide is not necessarily what some other people do. And then also as an agent myself, my interaction has generally been with either you guys reaching out to me. Often, I don't mean you guys in particular, but like I get flooded with texts and phone calls about like, do you have any off-market properties and blah, blah, blah. Or I get an offer from a wholesaler that I know is then going to assign the contract, which we can talk about that. So that's basically the best way to explain this. You could probably do a little bit better. A wholesaler sends me an offer on a property that I have on the resale market, on the, what'd you call it, wholesale market, right? Mm-hmm. And then in that like 2 week due diligence period, they're basically trying to sell that contract at what they negotiated a price for. They upsell it by like $2,000 to $5,000, we'll call it, or what, very small profit margin. They just kind of move it and like they just do additional marketing, so to speak, to sell it again. My headache has not been with that process. My headache has been with the closure rate is very low that it actually gets assigned, right? Mm-hmm. And so assigned is another vocabulary word, and that's basically where, you can describe it better. You get it under contract, and basically somebody else buys that purchase agreement from you. Fair?
Correct.
Okay.
Before the seller is involved, before the end. Like we have
Before
no
closing.
assignment. Yeah, we just go straight from a buyer to closing. They go, tell the process.
Yeah, so everything we do is direct to seller. We're not going through realtors unless it's like a pocket listing.
So what I'm talking about is not stuff you guys do. That's what I mean. So like when I think wholesale, right?
Yeah.
Like I think these types of things. That's not actually what you guys do.
Yeah,
it just isn't.
Our group doesn't do that. Like we're not offering on market houses.
Doesn't make sense.
No, like
it
it's just another step in the way. What in our industry that's called daisy chaining. You're basically just kicking it down to the next buyer, and they're going to try to find another buyer, and they're just going to keep assigning it until someone eventually closes on it.
It's like Bitcoin.
Sorry. Yeah. So
there's another opinion.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Oh hey, no, we can talk about Bitcoin as long as you want, man. But anyways, yeah, I think a lot of our process is we're trying to find these buyers to get under contract ourselves for ourselves to buy or our end buyer.
Because you have a pool of investors
Exactly.
that then purchase, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
So when I think that, my number one thing, not mine, because we've talked about this. I think one of the other kind of like misconceptions with you guys is that feels predatory towards a seller. When and Shelly and I talked about this before we got on here, I have specifically had sellers that I have no problem being honest on here, where they were in a fast situation due to health, life, whatever it may be, where they needed to get out from the house, because that's basically where their piggy bank is, right? Because once you start living life, not everybody has disposable or saved income, but they do pay their mortgage for the most part, and then you have this liquidity sitting there that you can't tap, and besides selling it. And I've had to come in and be like, okay, well, the house is worth this is what you need, but if I do this and this, I think we can sell it at this, which, full disclosure, also needs to be able to offset my commission so that I can still get them what they're trying to do. And you guys have the ability to come in and be like, we can forego all of that. You can have the money, and more importantly, like, you can lease it back, right? Which is in a retail situation is harder to do.
Buyers don't want to do that.
Yeah, buyers don't necessarily want to buy something and then not live in it, whereas like you're totally fine with that, with under parameters, right? And they can get the money, and they can like get that load off of themselves, because that's a heavy burden. Like when you're in that spot where you're like we gotta sell our place of safety, because we are under so much threat of some other stuff, right?
Well,
that's a real situation.
The thing is,
that's who we deal with.
Yeah, and the seller just needs to understand that, there's nothing wrong with an agent who has somebody who makes a phone call to them and says, I need to sell my house, and here's my situation. And you as an agent to have other ideas of how you might be able to help them than the traditional route. Because if you just have an open mind or a closed mind, that you're just going to say, oh, I can't help you. I need to list it for XYZ, and you need to do this, and you're going to be sitting in your house for 60, 90 days, and you're not going to be able to lease it back, and this is your life. Is that okay with you? And they say no. Don't hang up the phone. There's another way out of this, because with, going to Mainstay, if you're going to these guys and talking to them about it, they may be your buyer, and your buyer is going to be a much quicker situation. And so this is what I do is, there are times when you get a phone call and somebody says that they're like, I need to do the X, Y, and Z by this amount of time, and I need to know how I'm going to get this done in the next, I need to know tomorrow, basically, whatever the situation is. Or their house needs a lot of work. They don't have the money to do it, and they're going to get beat up online. If they're online and people are trying to look at this house, they're never going to get an offer, and everybody's going to be spinning their wheels. And the whole idea is the seller's telling you what they need and what their goals are. How can you help them get to those goals? And there are times when I've called you guys and I said, they can't do these repairs. If I put it on the market, it's not going to sell, and I need to know if your price will work for them. Can you please give me a price? And in the end, the seller can decide, well, everything that's causing my problems here that I need to do, that dollar amount's not going to work, or it might. So if I would call you, the process is to say, here's the price, and I can go to them and tell them, here's what my price is. I'm showing you with all the concerns and issues maybe with the house that we have. Here's your retail price, and here's your wholesale price. Are you happy with the wholesale price? And if they say yes, and they're under all this duress and stuff, then why not? Why not work with the wholesaler and say, here's your way out?
That's the problem I have with all of it, is like, I just think it's just lack of education. I think it's lack of transparency and honesty, both on our part as agents and as on your part as like you're afraid to step out because you're just gonna get punched in the face by a bunch of agents being like all self-righteous, right? How many houses that you guys purchase are turnkey? 0? 1%?
2%, yeah. Out of the 175 we did last year.
Yeah, so you sold how many last year?
10. We did 175 last year, and maybe 5 to 10 of those were like, we just clean it out and put it on the market.
Right, and so, it's a different type of thing, and I deal with so many different properties, and you do too. Like, I feel like retail tends to be like, maybe not turnkey, but it's like needs updates. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, there's just not this massive deferred maintenance situation.
Like
or
not
if there
$60,000 worth of issues.
Right.
Or, again, I think when I see I'm on their email list, and before we do the end of this, we want to get the email list out so people can get on the email list. It's always good because you may have clients and buyers who are interested in these types of properties, but
investors. I have clients who are investors.
I don't even remember what I was going to say.
You were talking about how you're on their list.
On the email list. Oh, because one of the things about your houses too is I have to say, how many of them do you consider maybe a hoarder position?
Yeah. Quite a few of them.
Yeah.
Maybe 50%.
And those we can't sell.
Exactly.
We can't even put that on the market. Oh, okay. Well,
takes
you're
us- but-
you're a Superman.
but-
Kyle's going to clean it out himself.
Well,
I
he
do,
would.
I do,
He
but-
would.
yeah.
But I'm just
Mainly
saying
because
there are
when
times.
I see a hoarder house, most people like see it as a certain thing, and like for me and like my background and everything, like that's a mental health situation is what that is. Which is like got to be really hard for you, Jeremy, because like you're the one dealing with that. And,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Hoarding in itself is a control compulsion, if that makes sense, right? Which just leads to actually more lack of control, and it gets worse and worse and all this other stuff. And so it is hard, but
And I think
those are hard houses. I mean, I deal with them, and
No, they're very hard because they haven't. You can't even see what you need to see. But I'm not saying we get phone calls all the time of hoarders that want to sell their house. But there are instances we know as a real estate agent who basically do retail. We can't help them, but we have other ways to say, but I know how to get you some help. Let me get a number for you on a different route. But to hang up the phone and not help that person and not have other tools in your tool belt of how you can help people who may call you to sell a property, this is an avenue. And that's kind of why I wanted to have you guys on there, to make sure that people do understand you guys don't work against us, you work with us. And
Technically,
that's what needs to be known.
we work against ourselves because you know, like you guys have this reputation, right? The industry as a whole, which is unfair, and like what gets left out of that is a convenient argument for like retail agents, right? Because what I'm leaving out of there is like I have a fiduciary responsibility to help a seller. And what nobody talks about is sometimes that fiduciary responsibility doesn't include me. That's a true fiduciary responsibility where I am looking for somebody's financial best interest, and sometimes that does not include me. And like I get paid to do this, right? And I think you would struggle to find an agent who could be honest enough to and like be like, that's why I don't call you guys, because yes, I'm taking care of them, but like yo, I gotta put food on the table too. You know what I mean? And like I'm not trying to minimize my industry by no means or anything, but that is the role I play, is fiduciary responsibility to the seller first and not me.
And I think,
that gets really freaking gray right there.
but I do think that you have hit the nail on the head of one of the things is how do we work together, and they will pay you commission. If you give them the deal, you're still going to get paid and your client's going to get taken care of. And you just have to see if that works within all the numbers. It may not be the commission that you would have gotten, but you will get, I'm just saying.
Took care of my seller, man. That's my
Right,
job.
and that's what I'm saying. It still happens. You're still taking care of the person that you needed to take care of, and these guys don't leave you out. They don't just go thanks, just hang up the phone.
And I think, just going back to that, the mental health aspect and the compassion, like, in our industry, there's really an avenue for people to be taken advantage of. But in our position, like, when we're actually very transparent with our sellers about what is going on, and 99% of our sellers are in that I'm a hoarder, I'm at my wit's end, I have no way out, and all I have is this house. What am I going to do? As someone that's in recovery myself and that deals with mental health, like actually coming into these situations and seeing why these sellers are in these situations in the first place and what they are willing to do to finally have maybe a start over, a fresh start in life. That is something that we can provide, and it's a lot of times a very, very hard conversation to have with these sellers. Like, hey, you're in so much debt that you've racked up over the last 10 years. You haven't paid your mortgage in 6 months.
And you find out and they don't know, right?
Yeah.
A lot of times you do.
They claim they don't know, but it's one of those situations where these lien holders, they don't leave you alone when it's these types of situations.
So they're getting a lot of phone calls that
They're
are very
getting blown
stressful.
up.
Yeah.
They're getting called by the lender every day, threatening
which
foreclosure.
then perpetuates their poor mental
And
health. And the
exactly.
stress.
And so what I try to do is try to come from that compassion angle and be like, hey, I know, listen, the lender's going to be calling you every day, threatening to take your house. They're not going to. I have the title company talking to them right now. We're going to get you out of this situation. And a lot of times we might be able to put a little bit of money in your pocket so that you can start over. Because right now, you're not going to be able to start over, and your life is only going to get worse.
Well, like
and as someone, that
Yeah.
conversation is extremely hard, and a lot of these people don't want to help themselves. But if you can just try to convince them that this is the best route, then they might actually have a new life forward, finally, for the first time in 20 years or so.
Right, and then like people want to get self-righteous, like as somebody who's had to start my life over, right? You don't get self-righteous about like, oh, but you could have made $20K more. Like I can tell you from where I sat, like, I didn't give a shit. I just needed to start over.
Yeah.
Well, and
20K
also,
didn't matter, 30K didn't matter, 40K didn't matter. Starting over is what mattered. If I start over and do it right, I will far exceed that $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 that I'm losing out
I
on
tell
right
that
now.
to my sellers all the time, and they're sitting here talking about they have an offer in front of them, and they're saying, well, let's just counter. And I say, I think you're going to lose them if you counter. And but we want that extra $5,000. And my conversation is always, in 1 year, where is that $5,000 going to get you? In 2 years, it's not going to make a difference. And then for these people,
If I sit on
it
the
may be
market 2
zero.
months, it's a
Yeah.
loss
Yeah, it's going to
anyway.
be zero
I
if you
mean,
don't take this
We have
route.
Yeah.
closings where, the sellers technically have to bring a couple grand to closing if they want to sell this house. And we end up covering it out of our own proceeds because our end buyer, we might have enough in our spread.
there, yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like, fine, we'll cover it. You're literally not going to walk away with anything. But you know what you're going to walk away with? No more lien holders coming after you. No more judgment holders coming after you.
No anchor.
No more anchor, a fresh start. And that is a huge sell to a lot of our sellers, is the fact that I'm not going to get anything out of this outside of a new start. I'm done.
Yeah.
And no longer have to deal with this. I don't have to deal with my crappy siblings or my parents or the estate or the lawyer or probate. I don't have to do that anything. It's done.
I have one right now that this is the first time I've actually ever heard this too, and my client was like, I just found out I'm not a homeowner. I'm not the type of person who should own.
Yeah.
I'm a renter.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
this is just a lot for me
Nobody
to deal
told
with.
me
Lawn
about
maintenance,
this.
no thanks.
Yeah, and I was like, never thought about that. I was like, I'm not sure I am actually, but like the ability to be honest like that is like, like I want everybody to own a house and blah blah blah, but like it just doesn't work for everybody. Like to me, it's just like the way to path towards like financial independence and all this other stuff. But there's a route where this goes where it isn't.
What are some of the big misconceptions you think you have to deal with, maybe against realtors and what they think of you or just the general public?
Tell me
maybe
what you think about real estate agents.
Well, that wasn't the question. But we could ask
That's what I want to know.
As far as kind of like what I hear from other people, I think in general I don't know if there was like a phase that happened in 2019, 2020, but it seemed like anyone with a internet connection could get on, watch a couple YouTube videos, buy a list, and then just start, wholesaling. So I think there's still, probably still are a lot of people out there, and they come and go, pretty quickly. Some make it, but our group is like, we're an actual business. We've been around since 2011. Clay and Evan Manship, they started it and they built it to what it is today. Like, we have systems, processes. We have a on-staff lawyer that will help renegotiate some of these liens to help get more money inside these sellers' pockets. We're pretty much a well-oiled machine. So I think just
And you're local. We need to
we're
say
local.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
You're located right here in Indianapolis, and you're dealing with your own people. You're dealing with the community as a whole is right around you, not coming out of state. And you talked about that a
I
little
think
bit.
that super matters.
Yeah, I think a lot of the issues with wholesalers is, they're out of state, so it's just a voice over a phone that these sellers are talking to. They never meet anyone that's involved in this deal. Whereas, we're local. We're right down in Broad Ripple. We have a project manager on staff in a company car that goes to every single property, meets these sellers face to face, so they can put a face to the name and know that we're legitimate and that we will get you through our process and get you to the closing table.
And you have a vested interest in the community because you live here.
yeah.
I mean,
This is your community.
Exactly. I mean, we're buying houses, that are in disarray that are just going to sit there and rot. Or we can come in with our group of buyers, fix it up, and have a beautiful house that can maybe be a rejuvenation of the neighborhood.
What is your pool of emails that you send out? Do you have how many people are watching your emails? Do you know?
It's probably too big at this point. I think we're right around 8,000.
Wow. Yeah. So you have access and means to get the house that you're taking over and saying you will sell, to get it in front of people. It's not like you're going to call your 10 friends and go, "You want this one?" Nope. Okay, call the seller.
Who
I'm sorry, we're not
specifically
helping.
want properties like this.
That's what they're
Otherwise,
doing.
I'm going to put it on the market and people are like, doesn't show well. And I'm like, no shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's why it's
Yeah.
priced where it is.
Exactly, the price. It needs to be a lot lower. No, we started.
Smells like cats. I know. That's why it's $20K underpriced.
Yeah, and I think that's where that whole miscommunication is we're not competition with you guys. We're not trying to come in and undercut you on a $500,000 house in Carmel. We're way more niche in the east side, lower value markets, that with houses that are covered in cat piss, or hoarder houses that need $100,000 worth of rehab to make it even be able to go on market.
Yeah.
That's
Because
where
the
we
people you're
operate.
selling to are eventually more than likely putting it on the market, correct? I mean,
Yeah.
they're flippers, right? They're
Exactly.
not buying them to move into. These are
Some of them are
flippers.
probably landlords too.
Yeah.
The renters, flippers, they're gonna make it livable to
Mm-hmm.
get it out there. So, and we talk a lot about low inventory. These are getting houses back into the inventory. These are getting them back circulated to get out there, which they wouldn't be if you guys weren't bringing them out in front of people. Because I would say, if I understand how you do it, and I may not, but you're just picking up the phone and calling all day long to find people who want to sell. And probably, tell me if I'm wrong or explain it better, is they pick up that phone and they haven't even thought about it potentially. And they're like, I have a way to do this. I have a way out.
Here's a
Like,
lifeline.
I
Yeah.
wasn't even thinking about selling. I didn't think I could. So these are houses that will sit there and never hit the market. You're actually opening up inventory.
Correct. Yeah. So it's kind of way above my pay grade, but I know we spend a very good amount of money every single month to on software and just different proprietary softwares that we utilize to essentially identify these people that would be a good fit for us. And then it's a lot of dials. There's a lot of direct mail. We're actually getting into some more inbound stuff to have more of a social media presence of whether it's Facebook or Instagram or TV ads, those type of inbound marketing sources. But yeah, I was explaining this earlier. It's a funnel. So we have X amount of touches that we have to do that leads to amount of leads. We talk to those people, qualify them, see if they're a good fit or not. And then a lot of times you say, hey, it's not a good fit. We're not going to just give them a number. We don't want to tell a seller what they want to hear and then waste their time. We're not the best fit for everyone. But yeah, it leads down to.
What about obituaries? Because so my parents passed away. And I'm a freaking. Sounds morbid, but we're just being real here. My parents passed away within 12 months of each other. There was some deferred maintenance, just stuff. It's down in Martinsville. It's got brick plus wood siding. Wood siding can be just a pain in the butt. All this. Woodpecker holes, all this crap. We ended up selling it. I was going to list it and all this stuff. But we got stuff in the mail, right? We ended up finding somebody in my brother's church who bought it. We sold it insanely off, or undervalue, like $40K undervalue. But I can tell you, somebody's been in that situation. I was like, I just want to be done with this, man. And it's me and my brother, and it's we're at a point where it's like, well, what if we sold it for $20,000 more? And I'm like, okay, well then that's split in half. So we're gonna do all this extra work for basically 10 each. And we didn't have to deal with capital gains because there was a transfer upon death, and all, we were in a good spot. But most people don't have that, right? Because my dad passed away unexpectedly, but my mom, it took 12 months or whatever. So we had the lawyers and everything involved. But if I didn't, that's a lot, man. And just dealing with it and getting the house empty and all this other stuff, it's a lot. And I just don't care about the extra money because it starts to feel at least for me. I'm sure everybody's different, but for me, I was like, I'm assigning a dollar amount to somebody's life, and this feels very dirty, and I just don't care. I know not everybody's in that spot or whatever. Some people are like, oh, this is going to be life changing, and it's just not enough money. Excuse me, that it's life changing. It's just kind of okay, I'd rather have my parents back for this like 120K, quite honestly.
Well,
You know?
you said something too, is when there's multiple heirs, when you're talking about a $20,000 or $30,000 difference and there's 4 heirs, we're talking now $5,000.
Yeah, dude.
And sometimes people really need to stop and think
And that's if
about
there's
all
no
of that.
probate, by the way.
By the
Because, I
time,
mean,
by the time that I just dealt with that, and they had 6, and by the time they were talking about going into the, what's it going to be on wholesale, what's it going to be on retail, the difference was $5,000 per person. I said, you're talking 30, but it's really 5. And they're
You don't
like,
even
oh,
notice it.
but yeah, they're like, oh, and then one has to fly in, and the other one has to fly in, and now we're down to like 1,000 by the time they're staying in hotels or whatever. So people really need to stop and think about this number versus what's the true picture. So it's not always the best route if you're trying to do,
I bet that's
true
because
numbers.
usually, like, it's either sudden or it's end of life, and like 100% there's deferred maintenance. I mean, there's just no way there isn't. There's just no freaking way there isn't.
Definitely.
Unless it's like something super tragic, and it's like somebody who's a little bit younger who passed away unexpectedly. But I don't know. Like, there's just a reality there, and everybody wants to take it on. And as somebody who dealt with it for like 11 months, emptying this house, like, it's just exhausting, dude. Like, I would have taken another 20 off just to like not deal with it for an additional 6 months.
And that's-
Like, it is that. It's
That's
that
exactly
much.
where we live.
Yeah.
Right there is. Think about the
In the
person.
obituaries.
And that,
Hey guys,
right? And that,
I'm just kidding.
We try to
But,
give
like,
it a little bit
think
of
about
time.
that person that doesn't have all the knowledge
Hey,
you
so-
have about how to even navigate that situation.
Oh,
That's
it'd be.
why.
I mean, this is what I do for a living, and it's a lot. Yeah,
exactly. So someone that doesn't even live in real estate, they have no clue what to do. That's where
What's next? What's next?
That's
Yeah.
exactly what we're here for, is walking you through what probate even looks like if we have to go down that route. Maybe we don't have to.
Which people
Maybe we
don't
can convince
realize-
your sister just to sign away her interest altogether, and you can keep it all.
Probate takes forever.
Yeah.
I mean, you're looking
Yeah.
at like 9 to 11 months.
Oh,
on
yeah.
Probate. And people are like, "Oh, we're gonna do this." I was like, "Man,
And
see you next year."
And a
Like,
lot of
that's how it's
realtors,
gonna
they that's exactly what they say to their clients is, "I can't help you now. So I'll talk to you next year." Where, hey, we're interested. Let's sign this up right now. Go through probate. We'll buy it in 6 months, and we do that all the time.
be. Nice.
Yeah, we just closed one that was took about a year.
I had probably my favorite transaction in my real estate career was over a year long. We signed it up back in July. This seller had a land contract on it, and the land contract holder died. Never paid on the land contract, and their wife thought they had an interest in the property and kind of held up the whole process.
Yeah.
She didn't have an interest in the property. We knew this from the beginning. However, lawyers smelled money in the air and kept it going to court.
Land contracts are tough too because most land contracts I see, I mean, I've had people send it very similar. We're like, "Oh, we want to buy the house now and everything," and like they won't sell it to us. I was like, "Yeah, you quit performing on the contract 5 years ago. You're a renter now.
Yeah.
Like your window to buy was at year 10 or whatever
Yeah.
it was, and like they didn't tell you or whatever it was. Like you needed 80K
Yeah.
3 years ago. Otherwise, like you're just a tenant."
And that situation is something we are involved with all the time. So that deal just finally closed a year and 3 days later after we signed it up. And the whole time I'm in communication with the seller, I'm in communication with the lawyer, communication with title, communication with our buyer to see if they're still interested in buying it after I get this all figured out. And finally, after a year, the lawyer calls and says, "Hey, we're finally ready to move forward. Are you still interested in buying it?" And I'm like, "Heck yeah, I've been waiting for a year."
Well,
Finally
and
closed last week.
meanwhile, you're also dealing with another 30 on the books that are still trying to close too. So it sounds like what they're saying is they probably know a little bit more about the whole title process and the whole selling process, everything that could possibly go wrong, much more than we do.
Yeah, I could probably teach a real estate law class at this point.
I mean, some of the stuff he's talking about is there's a lot to be known about when it goes sideways. I'm just saying we don't run into the sideways.
I don't.
As much.
I mean, I
Pretty
do.
much all of our deals are messy.
Yeah.
I mean, I do, but like mine is like, 2% are messy.
Yeah.
Yours is like 2% are clean.
Yeah, like
I mean,
Yeah.
I joke with Luke all the time, like, "Hey, title's free and clear. We're probably gonna have to kill this one."
so I've got a closing right now, like that my team member is at because I couldn't be at, and we're selling a parcel out of like this 3 parcel land. It's a friend of mine, blah blah blah, and like selling it to the neighbor. and excuse me, it was a cash deal. Should be able to close it in like 10 days. No big deal, whatever. And then pull title work, and they're like, oh, it's in the estate of so and so, and it just happened to have the. And then they pull up like the, oh my gosh, the will and all this other stuff, and there just happened to be a dude with the same name who died 2 years ago. And I was like, hey, my buddy's not even in the will. Like, this isn't even tracking. And they're like, oh, this is going to hold it all up. And literally, like, we just had to prove it wasn't him because it was in the same county 2 years ago. And it was like, oh, this is his dad gave it to him. I was like, no, it isn't. And, like, literally something that, I mean, it kicked it. I mean, it's supposed to close Friday. It got pushed to today. And it should have, I mean, it took an extra 10 days, right? On a cash deal, which is like basically, you know, direct party type situation. And like, that's your norm. And I'm just like, oh, great. And I'm calling Andrew, like we were talking about Andrew, like my title guy, Andrew Coates. And he's like, yeah, like this is what we deal with. You know what I mean? But you guys deal with it all the time. I was like, oh, this is a new one. You know?
I got a deal right now that has 57 liens on it.
57.
Yeah.
Is that a record?
I think it actually is my record. I've had quite a few where it's like 20 to 30 might be insane, but 57 is quite a lot. But yeah, it's a seller with a very standard like Steve Jones kind of name.
Oh,
Yeah,
so it's
it,
like
it should get reduced.
Oh, so you're not saying they're real.
they're not all real, but that's what happens in the title search. You have to clear it all. And
But
like,
I'm trying to figure out how can you sell a house with 57 liens if they're real, because they'd all be at
You gotta
least
clear 'em.
at
Sometimes you
least $500 each times 57.
And that's where your lawyer comes in too.
Yeah, exactly. So like that's what I get paid for, is basically looking through all these liens, figuring out all right, which ones are actually real, which ones can we negotiate, which ones will attach and have to actually get paid off. So yeah, like when 57 liens show up, I mean, maybe our seller is one of those, but you still have to go through 56 other
Yeah, they won't
liens
close it till you
individually
figure it out.
and clear all those.
That's why I highly recommend getting pre-title when you're getting ready to list the property.
Yeah, we do
You don't
pre-lim
want
up.
these surprises, especially if you have a 10-day cash deal and you're like, oh, I'm sorry, we just found this out.
I actually thought that was. I do prelim on all of them, and this was literally just like, hey, here you go, do this. And I was like, all right, sweet. And then of course it's the one with the headache.
Yeah.
But I do prelim on every single house.
Yeah, I do
100%.
too, just because you never know. That's a good reason why.
Yeah, I mean, I have one on the market right now that is an estate sale, and we got it started specifically just because, you know, the trustee was like, hey, we've got some stuff we got to get figured. Like, we just got to clear them all out and everything. And yeah, I mean, it's a great house, but it's got some liens against it. You know, it's just the reality of it.
Well, and I'll just say I had a property that I put on the market, didn't do it because it should have been a clean, easy title. They live there. They just bought it 5 years ago and everything like that. We didn't know that somebody had put a lien on the property. It was a real lien for them. And that questioned my whole process is, how does a lien process even go about? And
Anyone can put a lien on your house.
Yeah.
Mechanics lien.
Yeah. And the notification process and everything like that. So you just never know if you're going to have a lien, because you just never know who, threw one on there. Like, I was amazed
You
how
don't
easy
throw a
it was.
lien on your
We,
house.
I know. Let's just do that for fun.
We had this.
Let's go find people we don't
I
like.
could put a lien on your house right now and really screw with you. It'd be fun. No, we
I'm getting
please
buried in
don't.
that house.
We
You have
had
to
a-
talk to my kids about it.
we had a deal a couple months ago. Luke will remember this one, where we had a lien on this property.
I know where you're going.
It was a handwritten note. It
On a
was
napkin.
said,
There's a-
yeah, straight up. I'm not kidding. I have a picture of it. I should dig it up and I'll send it to you. But it literally was a note to the judge saying, the seller owes me $2,000. I don't have a lease, but they rented from me at 123 Main Street 2 years ago. It got recorded.
You got recorded.
Against-
It reminds me of Dumb and Dumber. Where he's like, this is an IOU. That's as good as
Yes.
money.
No, I'm not even kidding. That's exactly what it
That was
was.
a Ferrari.
We
We
tried-
talked about that over drinks the other day, remember?
Bullethead was his name. That was his
Yeah.
email address, was Bullethead69. So we tracked him down, got him to actually...
there, man.
Yeah.
We tracked
so
him down,
we actually
yeah.
tracked him down, got him to answer, like, why the heck is this lien against our house? And he's like, yeah, she does owe me money. Yeah, she can give me that $2,000. And then a couple weeks later, he
dead.
comes back. Oh wait, that's not my tenant. That's not my. Oh no, that's a different person. And we're sitting there like, you've been holding this deal up for 3 months, and it's not even the right person that this lien is supposed to be against.
And he's like, my bad.
Yeah,
So-
exactly. And there's no recourse.
But so here's our question, though. If you can't find the lien holder, what happens?
It really depends.
That's
It's
crazy.
case
That
by
is-
case.
I feel like we can always find them.
You guys have
We
your own
almost
little private
always do.
detectives.
Yeah, we there's some software that we have access to that
Like,
you can pretty much find anyone.
We do. There's this one deal right
We have
now
to use it
where there's
limited.
a lien
like
for
we're
a
talking
Joe's
NSA.
Auto Sales.
Precious.
And finding a Joe's Auto Sales is pretty difficult. Luckily, the seller knows exactly who
1,000
Joe
of them.
is. Yeah.
Well, we just got, as realtors, just to maybe let all the realtors out there know about Forewarn. My board just, you know what I'm talking about? Did you hear about that? So Forewarn just was a program that we were just given about a month ago, and that helps us that if we have a phone call from somebody who says they want to sell a house, we can immediately put it into the system and find out if they own it. Who they are, if they're real, if it's a fake phone number. Because we get all kinds of stuff. Just, we don't have access to a lot of anything other than, oh, hi, how are you? Yes, it'd be nice to talk to you. When do you know to get together? Blah, blah, blah. We don't even know who they are.
I've got
So-
some situations like
Yeah,
that.
and I don't do that anymore either. But Forewarn, I was using White Pages, which was helping me a lot. But this dives deep, like, you're talking. So
We have one right now where that my board also pushed out where if somebody is fraudulently
Yes,
trying
that's
to rent
great,
out
too.
a house I have on the market, and like I've got Irvington house, and like it literally pulls from Craigslist and all these other things, and it notifies you like, hey, are you trying to rent this house also? And it's through our
They've been
system.
catching a
That's
lot.
the big in like
It's
New
really
York and Chicago and
nice.
stuff.
Yeah, this just started too, so agents
Yeah.
know that as well, that they're checking.
I've had 3 houses pop up on it already.
Yeah, they've been catching a lot of illegal listings,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where, unfortunately, people get taken because I just don't understand this. But if they are looking for a rental and they get this rental at 123 Main Street that should be rented at $3,000, they see it for $1,200. They're excited. They literally will send a $1,200 in the
Deposit.
Venmo.
Mine's
as
not
a
even
deposit.
for rent; it's for sale.
No, that's what I'm
And they're
saying.
just
That's to get
lying about it.
stolen, and you
Yeah.
see the beautiful pictures of the house. And we all know if you were renting it, it would probably be $3,000. But somebody stole it and put it up for $12,000 and says, "Hey, I can't get there right now to help you see it, but if you give me $1,200, it's yours." And they send away money because it's so pretty and it's such a great deal. It's too good to be true, people. And that's happening so much. And this has really started to show how bad it is.
That's huge in like New York and Chicago. I'm surprised to start.
It's been
well,
going on
not
forever.
shocked that it's
No.
going on here.
You know,
It's been
Indianapolis
forever.
is very
Interesting to hear.
progressive and ahead of the curve, when it comes to most things.
Well, when Craigslist was hot, when I started in 2008, my listings got stolen to Craigslist all the time. I would get phone calls from people saying, "I just sent you $800. I need my keys." And I'm like, "What are you
Is that when
talking
you
about?"
used to advertise on MySpace?
That's before that.
Heck, we have buyers do that sometimes. We'll send out a deal and we'll have buyers like basically take our pictures and then just try to go find their own buyer.
Oh, I can see
It's
that.
other like wholesalers.
Yeah,
typically.
Yeah.
But it's not really as
Not-
fraud as what you guys have to deal with, but similar.
I have had those kind of situations where the people are the Facebook sellers. Mm-hmm. So that's all they do. And I had this happen one time when they were trying to sell mine. And I said, I didn't want to assign to them. I wouldn't. Well, they took it anyway and they put it on Facebook and they were trying. I found out it was on Facebook. I'm like, really? This is how you sell them?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I definitely don't want to have you deal with you because you're never going to get it assigned. There's no way. You have 8,000 people you can talk to. They have 12.
Who do you think represents your bigger buyer pool? Like you have these 8,000 people, but I'm sure like 7,400 of them just get your emails, and then you probably have like 600 buyers, right? Like
Yes,
who really
exactly.
do it. Some of them are like future buyers as they educate themselves over the next decade or whatever, but you probably only have like this actually smaller pool of real buyers who are consistent buyers for you guys, right?
Yeah, you hit exactly. So most of the people, like there are some out-of-state buyers that I work with on a consistent basis, but like the vast majority of them are local people. And then there's depending on where the house is located, like we'll always market the property out to everyone just so everyone has the opportunity to look at it. But like I'll call.
You're like, I know Joe's going to love that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like if we buy something on the west side, like there's 10 guys I'm going to call and one of them's
Yeah.
probably going to buy it.
Yeah.
Really?
Well,
so-
that's what's good because you do know how to help your sellers because you have an end game.
Mm-hmm.
You know the process from beginning to end, which gets back to why we wanted you on the show is to let people know you're serious. You know what you're doing. You can help a real estate agent as well in the process if we would ever need to go that route. Or get on the mailing list if you also want to be the type of person that wants to make real estate flipping as part of your repertoire.
Mm-hmm.
I know. Go ahead, say it.
Actually, I wouldn't have a problem with that.
They're buying it from the wholesaler, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
If
It's
an
arm's
agent
length.
was buying it from you guys, I would totally support that. What I don't like is when the real estate agent goes to the seller themselves with knowledge that they do not have, or even if they tell them, they do not put it in the correct light or have them reach out to you or anything like that. And I feel like it's predatory, and I get it. Their fiduciary responsibility is to themselves. That's who they're representing right there. But like, if I have more information than you, like, this is a public trust position, in my opinion, and I just think it's predatory. That's what I think. If they were to go through you, I would literally have no problem with it, because what I see agents doing is you and me together as one person, and they take all of the profit. You know what I mean? And like that, what you do is you buy it, you take care of somebody in an immediate need situation, you sell it to somebody else who then invests their money, and then they make their profit off of it. You make a margin in between. Like,
Correct.
that makes sense to me. But like, as a real estate agent, if I go take all of those buckets for myself, I don't understand how
Yeah,
the
I see
seller
what
is
you're
made
saying.
aware
Yeah,
of that.
I totally agree on that. I think we're pretty transparent with our business model of being like, hey, we're here to offer a fast, easy, quick solution.
Yeah.
We're not here to get you the top dollar on market and make it pretty into a listing. Like, we're here to buy where is, as is, get you money in your pocket tomorrow, even if I could.
Yeah.
You don't even bring up, here's what you could possibly get if you go on the open market. You don't even have to go there.
No,
right?
not
Yeah.
really.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
because your first thing's gonna be like, if you have $50,000 sitting around, this
Yeah.
is what you can do.
It's like, yeah,
sweet.
we can
Okay,
have
so
that.
option B would be what?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, we can have that conversation with you. Yeah, your house is totally worth $300,000 if you put $75K into it and get it all staged and
Most people don't have that.
yeah,
And get the
exactly.
professional pictures
But
and wait on market for 60 days.
But
and
we have
yeah.
the guys that do. We have the guys that have $100K in cash that can put it into your house and make it pretty and go sell it on market 6 months from now for that ARV value that you think you want, but it's just not worth it right now.
So here's the interesting thing. So with like my opinion on all that, which like I said is an opinion, and I don't really care what people do. I have an opinion on it. I wouldn't even care if an agent was doing that, and that's all they did. But as soon as you step into like what I do for a living, right, where like I go and help other people and like I'm specifically marketing their property and all this other stuff, like if all I do is I go, I find these deals, I flip a house, and then I'm an agent so I can list my house so I can save and it helps with ROI, that makes sense to me. But when you do both, that does not make sense to me. It just doesn't. It feels like you know this market and like you're just tiptoeing, and it just feels like a money grab. That's just all it feels like to me.
Well, I think it's even financially doesn't make any sense because
I
Evan,
can make more money if I just sell houses.
Exactly. Evan and Clay tried to do that at the beginning, like where they did flip some houses and they sold the rest. And now it's just like, no, like let's just make our process seamless and like help our buyers find these properties. And we'll just get out of the way and let them do the rehab themselves. And let's not take on these projects, and it can get messy and we might be in too deep and not make any money at the end. Let's just get really good at finding value add properties.
You guys
And
have
that's
done
what we
pretty
do.
good with that. Yeah, you have a great building. You have a full-time staff. I mean, like at a certain point, like you don't need all of it. There's enough to go around. There's enough to share, and like you do what you do, and you do really, really good at it, and it's profitable, and it does fine, and it takes care of a seller, and it all works, right? Let the next guy take care of the next piece, right? Like
Exactly.
the more you try to
Yeah.
take all of it,
The
like,
more
you're just-
problems.
There's just more problems.
Well, that's one of the things that we kind of pride ourselves into is, we're not cherry picking the good deals. It's like we keep things very simple. It's we buy for A, sell for A plus B, and we're not, again, hoarding any of the good deals. It's like, let's just, because we could, and we'd probably be a little bit more profitable, but at the end of the day, it's like we want to keep our and both sides of the table, but our end clients, the buyers coming back, and that's one thing I pride myself in is I've got a ton of repeat buyers.
Yeah.
If we weren't doing good by them or selling these properties at a price that they were still making money on the back end after taking on that risk, they probably wouldn't be coming back. So
They want deals, right?
yeah, they want deals.
They don't want all the deals that you don't want.
Yeah,
Like, that's just not how
exactly,
it works.
exactly.
Like, hey, we'll take your leftovers, man.
Yep.
I guess they'll just go find somebody else.
Yep.
Right. I don't know. It's all just interesting. I'm glad you guys came on here so we could talk about it because I do think there's a lot of lack of education.
Yeah, it's
I think there's agents who are like, I don't know. I don't want to say threatened or intimidated by you.
it's
but
just ignorance.
yeah, it's ignorance, and I don't like you playing in my sandbox.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
and that's just you're losing out on money then.
Well, agents in particular struggle with a scarcity mindset. Not just agents, most people.
One of the
general.
first things I was told when I started, and I probably have said this before, and it really opened my eyes, and I didn't know I even needed to hear this. But when I first started, I was just like, oh, I didn't get all of those sales. I saw how much was sold on my bar. I saw we hear on our weekly, how much did somebody sell? And I was always like, oh, I am horrible. I'm a horrible agent. I didn't sell all those. I didn't even get near to selling all those. And somebody told me, just go out and get your fair share. And that just made me feel so much better. It made me relax a little bit, like, oh, I really don't need to do all that. Like, I don't have to be the one selling everything, and I didn't miss out on a bunch. Because I was all about, I just missed out on a bunch of business I should have gotten. And there's just too much out there. There's just too much out there. There's no way we can all do everything.
And there's just a lot of realtors out there. I think for you
Like
to separate
supposedly
yourself from the
10,000.
millions of realtors that are your competition, you can have a wholesaler in your back pocket for these types of deals that you can't get listed on market this week. But you might have Luke that might be able to take a look at it and be able to get it sold, by the end of the month.
Right.
And it's a deal that you probably would have walked away if you didn't have his phone number.
And people do all the time, and because I've been called by people who said, you're the fourth realtor that finally said, I think I can help you, because everybody else said no. But in today's market, which we're going to go into the stats here in a minute, is the days on market are going up and up and up. And when we're looking at a potential 60 or 90 days, if that's where we are, you guys could get it done in 30. That extra $5,000, $10,000, $30,000 may be a big problem in 90 days compared to getting it over with. So just knowing every avenue, being able to get the information and put it in front of your seller and let them make the decision.
What else you guys got? Anything else you guys want to put out there? We'll go into the stats real quick, just kind of update on the market. But
So like you mentioned earlier, we're local. We're on 52nd in like the Monon Trail, pretty close to like Upland and like that whole strip. So like, I'm sure our information will be shared after this.
Yeah, where you're going to have you tell it for sure.
Yeah.
And it's going to be posted, yeah.
Yeah, so feel free to stop by our office. Like, we're a legit company.
We answer our phones.
That's
half the battle anymore.
Well, yeah, that doesn't happen all the time on our side, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So we always, I like having investors come in, sellers come into our office all the time as well. So it's pretty much an open door policy at our group, and we want to keep on spreading the brand.
You're not scary looking, you're not scary sounding. It's not like you guys are unapproachable. You're very I can tell you're very humble with what you're doing, and you enjoy what you do, and you do care. That's one of the things that matters.
It's not boiler room. It's not like some smoke-filled room.
Well, it could be.
Some days are.
Yeah, we got the steam whistle going, and no music is playing, just strict business only.
Drive me to
No, we have fun.
Yeah,
it's a good group.
Yeah. I mean, I follow you guys on social media and stuff, and like I mean, you guys are a good follow, and I'm glad you guys are on here because we do try to only have good people on here, people like that we believe in and are like similar mindset with us, and like just being on here is generally put somebody. I don't feel like arguing with somebody for an hour, so like we just generally don't have a lot of people on here who like don't kind of like fall under the same like principles of business.
Yeah. Just people that we think that other agents need to hear about.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys having us on. I think, we're two sides of the same coin here. I think working together is the best route for realtors and wholesalers to help sellers out of unique situations in a very traditional type of market. Like, I think we offer a unique solution to people that can't find it the traditional way.
Absolutely.
And since agents do listen to this, that means with commission.
Yeah.
Correct. Yep.
That's that's people don't know.
Well, that is a big misnomer of it. Yeah.
Yeah, we're not scared to actually pay realtors who work with us. Like, I think that's something
Because
that
you
gets lost in
understand it. You
translation
have
a lot.
realtors who work with you. You understand it's just part of the business, and it's in that. So, you want to give our
Yeah,
stats?
I'll go into it. Okay. Oh, dude, the microphone just spun. We gotta get new microphones. We're working on it, everybody. I promise. It's It's like toothpicks and glue behind the scenes here, but we're working on it. I promise. We're gonna get new microphones and.
We have them. We just need to use them now. But we're also going to go to Facebook Live, everybody, next week, first time.
I hate everything about it, but we're going to do it.
Yeah, we just want to have more interaction with people who maybe have questions when we're doing the show. So next week we start Facebook Live.
Okay, so, all right. We haven't done this in a couple weeks just because of, like, life stuff, right? It's been interesting, like, what's going on with the market, because I do see stuff performing and I see stuff not performing. I see agents doing a bad job of educating the marketplace, which I understand. It is in the vein of self-promotion and marketing. Oh, so I do understand it, and I don't like it, but I don't disapprove of it. Not that it matters what I approve of or anyways, but that's just not the market.
I know.
It's just not the market. And like I see agents out there saying like, hey, I sold this in this many days. And I'm like, man, like that's just the house. Like you got lucky with the house and like good for you and all that stuff. But that's not the norm. And what you don't realize is like, if you don't know what you may have just set yourself up for on the back end of this, you probably don't sell enough houses. That's the reality of it, because you don't know the next one may sit for 90. And
that's what we're seeing.
Be like, what? Well, you sold this one this quick. What's up with this?
Right. Well, the other thing too is it's just making even sellers who are out there thinking, oh, that's the market I'm going to be in. So that happens to all of us then after they say, well, I saw on Facebook 3 agents said they sold it in 6 days. But then we can't understand or even explain, and I don't know if those agents could, because if they can, I would love to hear it. Why did the other 10 unbelievable, beautiful homes, staged, priced correctly, not sell? The reason houses are selling today makes absolute no sense.
None.
The reason houses that are not selling is even making absolutely no more sense. And when we have
the ones
sellers,
that sell, like I'd be like, yeah, it's cute, blah blah blah. But like I don't understand why. To your point, like why'd you overlook the other 10 that were just as fine?
I'm doing that right now with the listing I have. I'm calling the other agents, the agents that pended it, and I'm literally trying to. I'm trying to figure this out. Is I'm going to be calling them and going, why did they not even come look at this house? Because it's the same price or whatever. I think I have the answer, but I really am just trying to figure out the weirdness in the market is why are houses sitting. But the days on market are all over the place. And anybody who wants to be on Facebook and everywhere they're saying, I just sold my house in 3 days. Next listing appointment they have, that's what they're, if we're going to say what we said. Why is that being posted? And, you can do it. I don't know. I used to do it. I haven't done it in a long time because I just don't want to be the person who's sitting across the table from the seller now going.
Explaining why you couldn't do it this time.
Correct, because otherwise.
And you don't have an answer.
Are you posting it on there to hope that somebody calls you to sell their house? That's the only reason I think they're doing it. Is that correct? Is that what they're doing?
It's marketing for them.
They're
to
marketing
get more
for
business.
them.
Because the problem you have is, I could tell you, unless you've been on both sides of it, you could try to explain to me why you sold it quickly, until you have the one that you can't explain, which really means that the one that did sell quickly was not because of you. That's the reality of it, and an agent doesn't want to say that. Because
they call you because they saw that on Facebook and said, "I would love for you to come sell my house. I saw that you sold it in 3 days. Yeah. Are you going to be able to do that again? Not with the way the market looks and the stats that are showing us. No, and then you're going to be putting yourself in a position of stress with that seller.
And I was talking with these guys about it before, like you got in here. There is literally no data that suggests a price drop increases showings. Maybe showings a little bit, but not proportionally to the way that you would think that a price drop will sell your property right now. I can't even suggest that you'll see an uptick in showings because of the price drop, but you will not necessarily see an offer. And so we're having to look at, okay, do we drop again at all? Because where are you going to be at? And then if we do end up waiting, because I think everybody kind of agrees that it will be a better market come next spring, right? I don't know, things will chill out. There may be a new Fed chair. Who knows what's going to be going on with the economy and inflation? Because, like it or not, the economy is in like some people know it, some people don't. I don't really care what view you look at it, but like I have friends out there who are looking for jobs. The job market is scarce right now. It is not like you can just go and be like, oh, just go out and get a job. Like you would be surprised. I have friends who are in the job market, and it is far from easy right now. And like nobody's talking about that, and like the economy is absolutely suffering. Does that mean we'll get out of it? 100% we'll get out of it, you know, but like I just think people are feeling the economy right now and also not talking about it simultaneously. So everybody's kind of like, what's going on? If I don't end up selling a house and I have to go back on the market next year, I have to be cognizant of where I stopped with price drops this year.
Yes.
Or
It's been a long time since we've talked about that.
Right. I may lose next year additional money because we got too desperate this year instead of me having a very real conversation with you of like, and this goes back to like agents and their fiduciary responsibility, but yet their income is on the line too, of like your best fiduciary situation is to hold off list next March, stop doing price reductions. And like you might be able to sell slightly over list next April at this point. Or if I do a 10K drop and we don't do anything right now, that's your starting point next year.
That
and
used to
that's
be a
huge, real place we are in.
It's been a long time since people have been in that place though, that don't look forward. And
you know what? I've never been in that place because I haven't been in the business long enough, right? Like I've been in the business 8 years. I've done a lot of business, all this stuff. I've never been in that environment. I'm just honest enough and can look at the stats and know what we're doing. And I do take my fiduciary responsibility very high of like, that means me not in that conversation.
Well, the thing about it too is when you're talking about a price drop, your price drop's not going to matter unless you changed buyer groups. And so we talk about the 325, 350, 375, 400.
What's 10 grand over a 30-year mortgage? Nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not. And the thing is too, is you talk about a price drop. So
like you're talking like a 390 drop to a 350 drop. Like that moves the meter.
Yeah.
Type stuff.
Or at least
375.
At least 375 may be a change. But then you talk about in today's market, we haven't been talking about this a lot either, is we aren't getting those 99 and 100% sales anymore. I mean, we're looking at people if you do a price drop, now they're going to offer off of that. So
I would.
It's going to happen because why did you price drop? You've been on the market for a few days. So now you did a price drop, and now the buyers are going to say, well, off of that price, I will now make an offer because of days on market. So there is no real answer. The market is what it is, and the market is showing that we are slower on how many days on market we are out there. Good houses are sitting. We don't know why. Do you get lucky? I don't know if there's a word for that, but the buyers are dropping in how many there are out there looking, and it's hurting.
And the weird thing is, if you look at the stats, it's technically a seller's market, right? And like because we are sub 6 months of inventory and all this other jazz, but it is 100% a buyer's market with leverage outside of like the kind of like the good houses that randomly sell that are really good, and like I'm all for all of that stuff, you know. But the only time I will do a list price real quick. So if I'm in a competitive situation, that's very easy to figure out. Like, you know, you're in it. I know how to offer on that, all that stuff. I mean, there's a house we looked at 30 days ago, and it ended up selling 30 over list. Like, I think we offered 30 over list, but we were contingent. On a house that's been on the market more than 5 days, the only time I will offer list price is if I'm contingent. And the reason I do that is because I know nobody else will offer list price, and so it helps hold my contingency because everybody else is going to try to lowball that house.
We had that happen. I had a first right.
All day on a contingency.
I had a first right come in 10,000 under list. We'd been on the market for like 15 days. They came in under list, and I'm like, you have to buy the first right. You do know that, right?
Yep.
You don't offer less.
Yeah, I'm asking for something.
You're asking for them to literally hold the house. I understand it stays active, but you're going to stop showings on that house. But yeah, I was just like, they're not going to take it. And I didn't mean that as being greedy or anything, but it's just, no. I would rather have a buyer who's going to be able to close in 30 days than you who may make me sit for 60 Then it's their bird in the hand, all that. That's a big conversation when you get first rights going on both sides.
I feel like a lot of agents have their just heads buried in
Totally
the sand.
against it. There's no reason to be against them.
Or they're either not acknowledging like what's going on, or they're so afraid of it they're not afraid to like operate within the space. And like, who cares? It just is what it is, and like you just operate within it. And
it's still active.
Yeah,
You
I
can
mean,
still
houses
get a
still
buyer.
selling. I mean, like I said, we've done like 70 houses this year. You know,
Yeah.
like it's mid-July.
That's
Like that's a
crazy.
massive amount of houses.
That is.
Okay, so Fisher's 42 on the market during last week, anywhere from 210 to like basically 1.5. That's 1.495. 33 are still active, so only 9 pended, but 41 actually pended that week. So like we picked up 1 in inventory. I have like almost 270 on the market in Fisher's, which actually, as I'm thinking about Fisher's, I have a question for them real quick. Average days on market for within that week was 28, and the mean was 10. But if I look at everything that's pending, average days on market is 52, right? So that pulls in stuff that isn't selling as quickly. Like I've got stuff that was sitting on the market 265 days, blah, blah, blah. It is what it is. So I would say you're somewhere between 45 and 60 days on market, or you sell within a couple of weeks. But I would prepare for like 2 months, quite honestly. So,
Yeah, and be prepared for that. And agents, be prepared to tell your sellers that.
Yeah. And then you got to take that into account if you are contingent, right? So that's why you got to pay list price.
Yeah, if they're going to be the contingent house, how long are you going to be on the market?
Correct. And then Noblesville, I had 33 go on the market, anywhere from 255 to 1.2. 28 of those pended, or 28 are still active, so only 5 pended, but 26 total did. So we picked up like 7 in inventory. There's 221 on the market. Average days on market for like the past 7 days plus even just everything, they're both about the same. It's like 32 and 35. So you're looking at about a little bit over a month. Not that big of a deal in Noblesville, which is kind of interesting that it's significantly lower. But I'm curious, like as a random off piece, like you tend to sell to investors, right? Which may be flippers or potentially landlords. I mean, landlords is small piece or what?
It depends on the area.
Totally made up. Because now with
Mainly
Fisher's, Fisher's is like a whole thing, right?
Oh yeah,
Because like, are you going to lose a whole buyer pool of landlord people? Because now
And Carmel
you
too.
can't, and Carmel, yeah, but there's not a lot of like.
I know.
There's not a lot of that in Carmel, right? But
We will
Fisher's
sell
for sure, man. Like
couple.
there's some downtrodden houses where people would buy them and
Oh,
rent
yeah.
them and all that stuff. So I don't
Yeah,
know
it's-
if it'd be an impact to you guys or not. So
Most of our stuff is like in and around Marion County. We do get distressed properties or sellers in weird situations in Greenwood or Avon, Carmel. Actually, Carmel. I've sold a handful of houses this year in Carmel. So we do get stuff like outside of Indianapolis, but
most of it.
I would
Yeah.
say in Indy, there's a lot of flippers.
Yep. Which I think is crazy because the money in flipping was like a decade ago in India.
Oh yeah.
Well, the price of houses have gone up
So
quite
expensive.
a bit. Yeah.
That's why you guys need to get into Kokomo and Anderson. There's money in them.
We do,
Oh, yeah.
them
we
hills.
do quite a bit in Anderson, but yeah,
I like Anderson personally.
it's an interesting little area up
It
there.
is.
All right. Well, I'm going to do Carmel. So in Carmel, this is going to go completely against everything I just said, because days on market in Carmel right now, they sold for the past 30 days were 16 average, median 4. We talk about the 4 that was sold right away. So also we had 33 hit the market, 14 of those pended, a total of 30 pended. So we almost have negative inventory again. The average days on the 7 that pended was 14. The median is 9. Currently, there's 176 active. So talking about the current active inventory in Carmel, the average days on market of those just sitting right now is 83. So there's houses sitting out there right now almost at 3 months sitting, waiting.
In Carmel.
Yeah. So
In
there's
Carmel,
the
that's
two
crazy.
markets we talk about. There's the ones that are selling and there's the ones that are not. Why are these 176 homes at an average of 83 days not? And why did the ones that just sold sell, some of them at 14 average days on market? So that Carmel's its own little place. Westfield 36 hit the market, Only 12 of those pended, but a total of 31, so almost negative inventory there. The average days on market for the sales of this past 7 days was 43, with a median of 9. And then they have 249 on the market currently, with those average setting of 64 and the median of 46. So we're looking at about 2 months on the market for Westfield with all the actives currently, and 163 sold in the last 30 days with 30 days average days on market. So Westfield's at about a month. Carmel's showing the actives at about 2 months. Zionsville, 15 hit the market, 4 of them pended, a total of 12 pended. Average days on market for the ones that did pend in the past 7 days was 26 with a median of 21, so almost the same. 86 are currently active. They're setting at almost 90 days on market, so 3 months of the active inventory in Zionsville. 48 sold in the past 30 days. Average days of 15 and median of 5. So we're looking in Zionsville, the solds running around a month.
Okay, so you have 86 on
Average days on
Average
market for
days
the
on market.
actives, yeah.
how many are on the market total?
86
86 are totally on the market
in Zionsville, yeah.
That's a lot.
It is a lot. You have a lot for Fishers and Nobles, though, the numbers you said,
Shoot,
because
yeah.
Carmel does not. Carmel has 176 total, and it's
I mean,
a
I
bigger
almost have
city.
300 in Fishers. I mean, 269.
Yeah, and Carmel's larger than Fishers.
Yeah.
So that's just the inventory's there. And people are saying we don't have inventory. You have a lot of inventory in Fishers and Noblesville.
I have
So
the most inventory we've had in like
Yeah.
5 years.
yeah. So the inventory is there. Days on market are up.
But
Just
here's
the
where it's
sellers need
weird.
to understand we are not selling in a week anymore.
But like that timeline is like still not that long. Agree for days on market?
No.
I mean, it's long
It's so
for what
much
people
better than
think.
what we used to deal with.
Yeah, it's like that is actually really good. But I'm just telling you, man, like it is not a seller's market in all of those numbers.
I know.
And any other place would tell you that that's a seller's market.
Well,
And it's just not.
Yeah, I know. The market is, it's different for every town, too. You all need to really pay attention to what you're dealing with, your neighborhood, the town. What we just said, every one of these towns is totally different.
Yeah.
Totally different, sitting side by side by side. So anyway.
But it's like, oh, it's not a seller's market. I don't know, man. If you bought your house 5 years ago, who cares? You've like doubled in value.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, like what are we talking about? Like, okay, I only make 270 instead of 300. Like who? You know, like what are we doing here?
Yeah.
But so I don't know. Like it's just really weird. And like for anybody who's kind of out there, like, oh, this is great. Like, man, there's just so much stuff going on. It's impossible to be able to have that kind of a viewpoint on it, man. I just like if you think you can replicate that all the time, you're not selling enough houses. That's the
right.
reality of it. Like you might be able to do it 4, 5, 7, 10 times in a year, but like sell 70 and get back with me and tell me
Yeah,
that's what the market is.
It's not, I mean, I don't want to say this strongly, but it's not a good market right now for sellers. It's just not. There's people who are getting lucky. There's people who are going to sell. They're going to sell in a good amount of time. But we are not looking at 120 days. We're not looking at 6 months on the market. We're not looking at, it's just
It's not what it's
not what it has been.
Yeah.
So I can't say it's a bad market. It's just,
Yeah.
it is what it is today. But it's not quick. It's not going to be quick. And when you find something that does happen quickly, I'll say real quick because I know we need to go. You probably had interest in that house before it got listed. Because I see a lot of that, and I get a lot of conversation from people who say, but my neighbor did this last week, they sold in a day. And I'm like, that's not possible because we can't even pin them in a day. If I call the agent, I bet they tell me they were already interested in it's called a list and sold.
Yeah.
So it was 1 and 2 days on market. It's a list and sold. It is not a true market average. So those need to be thrown out the window, and that would be really good information to have. And I've noticed that my board is starting to ask a lot more questions about how this house sold, and that's going to be great information moving forward.
Yeah, I've had one day on market, and it's a me, and we've been knowing we were going to do it, you know, for like 20 days.
That's what I'm saying. If you have a 1 or 2 or 3 days on market, there's a reason it was
Something's
not
going on. Yeah.
because it hit the market today, and then all of a sudden you got offers. Almost. That's just my opinion. So anyway, thank you so much for being on the market. I'm Shelly. Being on the show. My name's Shelly Walters at the Shelly Walters Realty Group. My phone number is 317-201-2601.
And my name's Kyle Morris with Morris Property Group and FC Tucker. My number is 317-649-5122. And if anybody wants to get a hold of you because they have a unique situation, whether it's an agent or just somebody who's listening and like they can at least have a conversation with you and kind of see whether that's a lever that they want to pull, like go ahead and give them your information.
Yeah, Luke Swift, VP of Dispositions. My number is 317-934-2270.
All right. We'll talk to you guys next week. No, we won't take another 3 week
And we're having
break.
Jeff Kuchik next week, and he's
powerhouse.
Yeah, he's going to be with us for our first Facebook Live. So looking forward to talking to him and picking his brain.
He's forgotten more than I know. Have a good week.